Truth lives where ideas collide. This is the Roundtable Exchange.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 3 of the Roundtable Exchange. Actually, no, this is episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 2 of the Roundtable Exchange. We don't have a guest tonight, so just going to be Mel and I having some conversations, and the reality is we don't even really know what we're going to talk about except for this one stupid thing that you did when you were in Armenia. But beyond that, we have no idea where it's going to go, do we now?
I didn't agree to talk about that.
Oh, no, you will talk about that.
Maybe we can wait till a little bit later.
Yeah. So, dude, you just got back from a trip to Pennsylvania. You were there for, how long were you there?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
How was the trip?
It was good.
Tough trip?
A little bit. I mean, went back for a funeral, so there's always a lot of emotions with that.
Sure.
But I wouldn't say it was a tough trip. I think it was an awesome trip. I got to spend a lot of time with friends and family. A lot of time with family, which was great.
Yeah. Well, that's always good.
Yeah. But I was excited to be back in Cali.
Yeah.
Excited to get back on the pod.
Absolutely.
Get back to some other things that I need to take care of here. So
Yeah, back into a routine again.
yeah.
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 Are you going to check your phone or what?
I don't know that that's mine.
Oh, was that my phone?
That might have been.
All right.
Who cares?
I should probably turn the vibrate off.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
I probably should do that. That way we don't get distracted.
Sure. Yeah, dude, what's the rabbit holes that we're going to get into?
Dude, I don't know. What are we going to talk about tonight, man?
Oh, man. I can't believe you haven't wiggled your way into the dark underbelly of C-class celebrity comedians.
Dude, I just... Comedian, it just doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
A lot of comedy just doesn't do much for me. I mean, I enjoy like little clips here and there, but to just watch hours of it,
Yeah.
it doesn't do much for me, man.
Most of these guys have their own podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's comedy now is so much different than it was 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm
10 years
sure.
ago, it was like stand-up comedians, and then the best stand-up comedians get movie roles.
Right.
Now it's like some of the most popular and funny comedians are not in movies at all.
Sure. Yeah.
Theo Von's an example of that. He's probably... I think by definition Joe Rogan is a stand-up comedian, but
He is.
nobody
Knows him for his comedy.
knows him for his comedy, and rightfully so.
Well, yeah, dude.
If you see his comedy, he's a good stand-up comedian, but he's not. He's better at talking than he is
Really?
comedy. I feel like he is. He has some good bits.
Are you familiar with Dave Smith?
Mm-hmm.
You are?
Yeah, but not his comedy.
Okay.
But
got
isn't
it.
he?
Well, he's this like libertarian political voice.
Yeah,
basically.
he's kind of like a journalist in some ways, isn't he?
In some ways, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty interesting guy.
Yeah, I don't know much. I just saw one of my buddies sent me his clip 2 years ago on some of the context of the Russia-Ukraine war.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to that.
Yeah, it was a pretty helpful clip. I mean, it was only like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, but man, if you're misinformed about the
I was gonna say, let's get into this.
Dude.
This seems like something that would be interesting to get into.
Oh, boy.
Let's get into this a little bit.
Sure.
Give me your thoughts on Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S.'s involvement thus far.
It's very complex.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's one of those things where it's like the media wants us to believe that it's like Putin bad, Russia good.
Yeah.
We should help. Or I'm sorry,
Ukraine
Putin bad, Ukraine good, and we should help Ukraine. And the reality is it's so much more complex.
Yeah, and it's globally complex. But another thing that goes along with it is that every country that is involved has to deal with their own country's media having their own form of propaganda around it.
And spinning it a certain way.
Sure, which Russia's dealing with that. Ukraine has that. European countries are having that.
Well, but I mean, Ukraine has silenced any dissenting voices.
Yeah,
right. I mean, like Zelensky, in my view, is becoming a dictator. I mean, he's shutting down any voices who don't agree with him.
Yeah, I'm not very aware of the social situation in Ukraine. I'm actually not. I don't know anything about that. You probably know more.
Well,
about
he
that than I
canceled
do.
elections. I mean,
Okay.
they were supposed to have elections, but because of martial law, because of the war, well, we can't have an election during wartime. So he just made himself president.
Sure.
And so that's a problem.
Yeah.
But then also, I mean, there's literally news stations who have disagreed with him.
In Ukraine.
Oh yeah. Who have been shut down, imprisoned.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I'm sure the same thing's happening in Russia.
I'm sure it is.
I think the background and the context is what's important to know, because this goes back to 1993.
Yeah.
And the dissolution of the USSR.
Sure.
And I think the treaty was between NATO and the USSR becoming Russia, correct?
Right.
So part of that agreement is that NATO would move no further east.
Yeah, wouldn't move an inch further east.
Yeah, than the European countries that they were already in, which is like we have these conversations about not only ceasefire but sustainable peace.
Right.
And in that time, that made perfect sense for sustainable peace, because Russia doesn't want European ballistics in their backyard.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, it's essentially, and that I feel is what spurred on this whole aggression. Russia's aggression.
Sure.
Is this idea that Ukraine wanted to join NATO, and under Biden's administration, that was basically the plan, was to bring Ukraine into NATO. And if you think about it, that would be like Russia saying, we're going into a military alliance with Mexico.
Sure.
And then because we're in a military alliance with Mexico, we can have a nuclear missile base
in Mexico,
right across our border in Mexico.
Just in case you decide to do anything.
For a second that we would allow that?
No.
Well, no. I mean, we didn't allow that.
Especially not.
You have the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's what the Cuban Missile Crisis was. That's exactly what it was, and we didn't allow it.
That's a good point.
And so, like, for us to sit here and say, well, Russia shouldn't care if Ukraine comes into NATO, is crap.
Yeah.
From their standpoint, it's like, and here's my view too. And again, I'm not defending any of Ukraine's actions here. By any means, I think what they're doing in Ukraine is actually awful. I mean,
Russia's actions.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Right.
Russia's actions. I'm not defending their actions. What they're doing in Ukraine is awful. Right? At the same time, Russia has been made out to be this bad guy on the world stage. Right? And so,
which, in all fairness, it's a communist government that is very oppressive to its own people.
Sure. But it's like, okay, it's like Russia's saying, Putin made this comment a while back about joining NATO. Well, it's like, there's no point in Russia joining NATO. NATO was set up to defend against Russia. If Russia joins NATO, then NATO is no longer needed, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so, but this whole idea that Ukraine did nothing wrong is kind of crazy as well, because I mean, they were going to join NATO, which we would never allow Russia to join in a military alliance with a next door neighbor, either Canada or Mexico.
Right. So another thing to keep in mind, in eastern Ukraine, there are territories where,
like Donbass.
Where there's Russian occupation right now, and those regions voted basically the same thing that Texas does every year. What do they call that? Where they apply to be their own union. There's regions in eastern Ukraine
that want to be a part of
that
Russia.
the people have. Yeah, they've voted to be a part of Russia.
Right. Well, because the people in those regions are ethnic Russians.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know the inner politics of that. Like, does that mean they had liable reason for them to be granted to be part of Russia? Not necessarily.
Yeah, sure.
Like, nations don't just dissolve themselves because the people vote for that to happen. Otherwise, California and Texas would be their own unions.
Right.
But I think what the last couple of weeks, the rabbit hole that I've been in is more like the big picture part of things. And just starting to understand some of the dynamics that are at play. It would be in all of Russia's best interest that Ukraine doesn't join NATO for obvious reasons, because then there's going to be nuclear warheads from the European Union and America in Ukraine, which is next door. But it's also crucial that NATO and the U.S. don't go into full military alliance with Ukraine. If that happens,
it's World War III.
It's World War III.
Yeah, exactly.
Because not only that, China and Russia do not have the relationship that American media has made them out to have.
Right.
China and Russia have a volatile relationship
Sure.
that functions on basically both of their economies working together.
Right.
It's trade. Kind of
Right.
the same way that America and China have a dynamic.
Sure.
But if the European Union and Ukraine, if Ukraine were to become a part of NATO and America backs Zelensky like he wants them to as an alliance, China and Russia will become allies immediately.
Exactly.
So it's like everything that Trump and Vance have said in the past couple of weeks that they want to do.
Yeah.
And by the way, by the time this podcast releases, this might not be totally relevant anymore. We don't know.
That's
that.
right, yeah.
But it's still in real time. It's interesting to talk about. For Trump to say that he wants to be a middleman is so reasonable that it's ridiculous to think otherwise.
Right.
Like, it's in nobody's interest that people start taking sides as an alliance at this point.
And to think that we should keep sending them money and weapons, giving them money and weapons, is insane as well. I mean, how much money have we spent on Ukraine? $350 billion?
$550 billion?
Whatever it is, it's in the hundreds of billions.
It's way too many billions.
Yeah. Right. And so it's like, when does this madness stop?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know if you saw the reports. Tucker Carlson is saying that they're actually finding American weapons in Mexico. So like the javelins that we sent to the Ukrainian military, they're finding these things on the southern border of Mexico, owned by the cartels. So what's happening is Ukraine is actually selling our weapons that we're sending them up to about 50%. Is kind of the reports, is that Ukraine's selling the weapons that we're sending on the black market, and the cartels in Mexico are buying these weapons.
The weapons that we gave
The weapons that we gave to Ukraine.
That's crazy.
It is insane.
But it is believable, because one thing that has become clear about the way that Ukraine functions is that it revolves around corruption.
100%.
On every level.
It is, in my view, one of the most corrupt nations in the world, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Which, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be... it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be a part of resolving the situation that they've put themselves in.
We should.
Right? We should.
Absolutely.
Then there's an argument, a very centrist view, that is, hey, the European Union and NATO as a whole should just remove themselves from the situation. Well, if that happens, Ukraine is going to become obsolete in a very short amount of time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without American support, Ukraine would have been done
for sure
within 2 weeks.
It'd be a genocide.
Yeah.
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 But
the crazy thing about all of this is, like, this was to a large degree brought on actually by the United States, as far as I can tell, because the United States orchestrated this regime change in Ukraine in 2014.
Yes.
So there was this, they had a, elected leadership who essentially the CIA helped to overthrow that government and put in Zelensky as the new leader.
Why? I don't know anything about the history of that. Why did the Obama administration feel that it was in our best interest that Ukraine has a regime change?
Why do they ever think there should be a regime change? Do you have any idea?
But for sure there was a perspective from
there was.
One side of the aisle.
I don't know exactly what it was, to be honest. But the reality is that we should stay out of that crap.
Sure.
Like the CIA has no business there. We had elected representatives, members of our Congress, who went to Ukraine during and around that time where this was happening, and they were celebrating this. And to me, that's just like, no, stay out of it.
Well, and it antagonizes Russia, which
precisely.
I mean, in 1993, that peace document, those were the agreements that we had that we wouldn't do.
That we've broken years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, Zelensky's complaint is that he doesn't want to sign a peace deal with America as the mediator without security guarantees. And fair enough. It's just the platform that he chose to express that on was the worst timing.
Well, but here's the reality.
But what I was going to say is I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I apologize.
No, it's okay. So the complaint from Ukraine is that, and Russia has done this. Putin has broken treaty with Ukraine, I think at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Where they signed a ceasefire,
right,
and then they didn't comply to it.
Right.
So there's no trust.
Right.
But this would be the first time that there was a third party involved.
Right.
And you have to recognize that would make things different.
Right.
Not only that, the Western propaganda against Russia doesn't really, you can't apply that when the Obama administration made America the first one to start that process of breaking treaties and ceasefires.
Right.
It's like what we did in 2014 was started the same proxy war that the whole Cold War was from 1940s to the 1980s.
Yeah.
It's the same proxy war. We started to use Ukraine as our pawn in the global game.
Exactly.
And we were not supposed to do that.
But that's what we do. We've done this worldwide.
That is true. That's what the war in the Middle East has been all about.
It's all about, the Middle East is all about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, I'm no expert on Ukraine and Russia. I'm not. And so I'm more than happy if somebody listens to this and says, these dudes are way off base.
For sure.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Because, I'm open. I'm very open to changing my views on this. I'm not, but as far as I can tell, I had this conversation with somebody, and he kind of laid it out in an interesting way, is Zelensky, he came to America. Basically, think about it. Think of it as if you have a couple rich uncles, right? And you're trying to do something with yourself, and you're taking money from a couple of these rich uncles. One of them gives you $350 billion. Other one loans you $150 billion. And so this was Zelensky going back to his rich uncles again and saying, I need more money. Right? And this rich uncle is tired of it and says, no, we're done. Mm-hmm. We're not going to give you any more. And it upsets him. Right? And so I understand that it's significantly more complex than just that. Right?
Sure.
But to some degree, that is what it comes down to. Here's the reality, though, is that he was asking for security guarantees, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, rightfully so. But what he may or may not understand, but doesn't seem like he understands, is that if he signs that mineral rights deal with the U.S. and the U.S. sends American companies into that part of Ukraine to do the mining and all of that, as it relates to U.S. having the rights to those minerals in the land, then we actually have an interest in protecting that, because we have American companies 100%. There. And so that is a form of security guarantees.
Absolutely.
It's not nothing. It's not a written security guarantee, but it's an implied interest in keeping that region secure.
I mean, that makes
American companies working there.
That makes Ukraine an immediate asset to us.
Right.
And just exactly what you said. If you become an asset to us, that's a form of security.
Right.
But I almost, that's a good illustration you gave. I almost saw it as like we're, instead of, okay, this is a terrible illustration, but I'm going to use it. So Allen Iverson had a pretty lucrative deal in the prime of his career with the 76ers, but he was terrible with money, and he would give tens of thousands of dollars away to his friends. He never invested, and the NBA couldn't solve his problem, but Reebok, the shoe company, gave him a sneaker deal, and they basically stacked his deck. I think they gave him like roughly $500,000 or $1 million a year until he turned 50. And then when he turned 50, he got a huge check, which is really awesome of them to do, and it's to his benefit as well, because you would assume that by that point in his life, he'll be in a place where he's probably going to make
fiscally responsible.
Sure, he's going to make some more responsible financial decisions. What Trump was proposing was basically, we want to fix where you're bleeding out. We can't fix your corruption, but we can fix your war problem, right? Or at least there needed to be some trust, which clearly there is no trust between Zelensky and Trump in Trump and Putin's relationship.
Right.
It's like all Trump wanted was Zelensky to trust. So this is the thing, Ray. When you watch the interviews, so there was the 55-minute meeting that was on live TV.
In the Oval Office.
Yeah. And then Zelensky had a meeting with Fox News after that. And that was almost as telling because that became so chaotic in the Oval Office that it was a little bit hard to find the narrative from both sides.
Yeah.
And I understand Zelensky's narrative. I don't think that it's well informed, but it's fair.
Sure.
As a Ukrainian national, it's fair. So basically, Trump's proposal is saying, if you could, as the American people who trust me and believe in me, trust me in Putin's relationship and our agreements, we can sign this, we can end this war, and then you, as a country, can be at peace and start to rebuild your infrastructure, and we fix where you're bleeding out all your money, even though the corruption's going to go on and you're going to continue to have poverty. But Zelensky's side was, I don't trust Putin. You're friends with Putin, therefore I don't trust you. Even though he didn't outrightly say that.
Yeah.
That's why he wants in writing certain guarantees. And it's like, you don't really get that in this situation. Because for me to give you security guarantees means that I'm also giving you military alliance.
Well, you want the war to keep going on?
Sure.
I mean, what option do you have, dude? You're in a corner. Like, you make a decision. You're at a crossroads.
Exactly.
Like, you're at a crossroads.
And
you want to keep fighting an endless war?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is, this dude met with Democratic senators prior to his meeting with Trump. That got found out later.
Really?
Yeah, he had a meeting with Democratic senators before his meeting with Trump. Well, that's insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, this guy was campaigning with Democratic senators in Pennsylvania last year. And it's with Josh, I believe, was it with Josh Shapiro? He was campaigning with Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. And it's like, the guy is, dude, he's an actor. The guy's an actor.
Zelensky?
Yeah, no. I'm saying his past, that's what he was.
Oh, sure.
He wasn't a politician. He
Yeah.
was literally an actor.
Wasn't he a comedian?
Yeah, he was like this. Yeah,
He was a funny guy. Another part of it that you can see when you start to read between the lines of when Zelensky, in his interviews, he had a lot of interviews in Europe in the days after, and the interview with Fox. It's pretty easy to tell that he was basically groomed by the Democratic Party.
Yes.
And all of that has played into his distrust of Trump.
Well, and that's the idea, is that even that meeting with the Democratic senators was to essentially tell him what to say when he gets to the Oval Office.
Right. So,
So let's segue a little bit. So
I wanted to clarify on the illustration I gave about Allen Iverson. Basically, the opportunity that was in front of him was like this. We'll end this war. We'll fix your spending problem. But not only that, we're giving you a retirement plan, right? And to him, the issue was he got caught up in the details. You should just sign the paper, and then we can continue to sign things going forward. But that's the first part of getting the ball rolling on this thing, was to sign a ceasefire. You can do a peace treaty whenever.
Right.
They're not the same thing. If you get a ceasefire and then we also sign this mineral deal, then we can actually start to have real peace talks.
Yeah.
But real peace talks don't happen in wartime.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, you were going to say the
Yeah,
segue.
well, no, you're right. I think it's a good illustration. I don't think it's a terrible illustration. I would tell you if I thought it was.
Sure.
So to segue, let's leave Ukraine behind us, but let's talk a little bit about, so in 2014, we orchestrated this regime change in Ukraine. More recently, we did it in Syria when we overthrew Assad. Or essentially, we didn't overthrow Assad, but we assisted the rebels who were rising up against the Assad government in Syria. And Assad was not a good guy. I mean, by all reports, he was gassing his own citizens and things like that. But we armed and paid the rebels to fight against Assad's government. What is it? I don't know how long ago it is that Assad's government fell, right? I mean, within the last year, within the last several months ago, I would say. Do you know at all?
No, I don't know anything about this.
I
do know a little bit about this because my friend is Syrian, and then on the day that the transition happened, he texted me, and
he lives in Syria. He's
from Syria, lives in Armenia. But he was celebrating because he said for the first time Syria is a democratic state.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we orchestrated that. We funded the rebels. We armed the rebels. In the first press conference that the new government did, the new leader had an ISIS flag right beside him. And it's like, you see that and you're like, what did we just do? Mm-hmm. Right? Because, I mean, we got an ISIS flag now in the government. Well, I don't know if you've been seeing the last the last week, what's been happening in Syria. Have you seen any of that? Really? Oh, it's flat out genocide.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No, there's like tens of thousands of people have been killed, specifically Alawites and Christians and Druze. So this new government, Islamic jihadist radicals, they're literally going into the towns. I mean, I've seen some pretty graphic videos. It is insane. I mean, like tying people, dead bodies, or even alive, I believe, with string to the back of a vehicle and dragging them through the streets, shooting them point blank. It's absolute genocide. Literally within the last week, tens of thousands of people have been killed by this new government.
Dang.
This new government that we celebrated when they first came into power. Okay? Tulsi Gabbard, because Tulsi Gabbard, when she was Democratic Congresswoman, you know who Tulsi Gabbard is. When she was Democratic Congresswoman, she went to Syria without the knowledge of her party or anybody else. She went to Syria and met with Assad. And she took a lot of heat for that during her confirmation hearings for Director of National Intelligence, which Trump appointed her to. Since she changed sides, she's no longer on the dark side, right? But so she took a lot of heat for that. Democratic senators asking her if she has any allegiance to Assad or to, they basically called her an Assad sympathizer, right? And this was after the Assad government fell. And so her words in her hearing were, look, I shed no tears for the fall of the Assad government. But the fact is that we have an Islamic government there now who we don't know. We don't know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And she was called a Russian puppet and all this and that, right? Because Assad and Russia liked each other.
Okay.
And so she was called a Russian puppet and all this and that, right? Well, it's like, that was a month ago. Her confirmation hearings, right? I mean, roughly a month ago. Now look at this. A month later, her fears have actually manifested.
Yeah.
I mean, around a month later.
That's crazy.
I mean, literally, in Syria right now, it is a genocide.
That's crazy. Wow.
And so it's like, but we orchestrated that. Our government, right? Our government funded those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, I saw videos on social media, on X, of Syrian Christians making videos saying, please come help us. Somebody come help us. United States of America, United Nations, somebody, you guys need to come help us. They're taking women and kids. They're going into houses, taking the women, kids, and the men, everybody out in the streets and shooting them point blank.
That's so insane. Sharia law.
Right.
Sharia law.
Right.
I'm like, I like what you said earlier about if there's someone who listens to this and is like, you guys are just uninformed, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm super open to learning more on foreign affairs and politics in general, because
as am I.
I've only started to keep track of politics like within the last 6 months. I know very little about politics.
So politics is something that I've been interested in for years.
Yeah, right.
Years. I mean, I grew up with my dad. Like, my dad donated to George Bush. Mm-hmm. He...
Regrettably.
But still.
At the time. I mean,
but my point is that my dad, he was politically, at least somewhat politically active. I mean, he would always go and vote on election day. I remember when Trump was running for president in 2016, this is before I was married, so I still lived with my parents, mm-hmm. and Dad would come up into my office, and we would talk, and we'd sit there and watch a Trump rally or something, mm-hmm. And so Dad's always been interested in politics.
Sure.
So I was, to some degree, I was interested in politics.
Sure.
I've always been interested for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
My views on politics have changed. I don't believe the same way as I did. I don't believe the same things that I did necessarily. I've actually become much more libertarian in my political views. I would say not the Libertarian Party, just to be clear. Libertarian in terms of my philosophy. Right. And so
libertarian by policy.
Correct.
Sure.
Yes, not the Libertarian Party. In fact, I have very little for the modern day Libertarian
Not
Party.
a Bernie Sanders fan?
Well, but he's not even really... He's not libertarian.
He's just independent.
He's independent.
Yeah,
he's not libertarian.
What's the difference? Can you define that?
Well, independent is more just, this idea that... I mean, there is an independent party, and I think basically they're just a mishmash of people that don't really align with any other party.
Freedom to be like...
Yeah.
Whatever you like.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Be a bozo.
Libertarian philosophy is limited government, limited taxation, social welfare, like all these welfare programs, is not the responsibility of the state or of the federal government, essentially.
Okay.
But libertarian philosophy, like one very anti-libertarian law, for example, is this law that you have to wear a seatbelt when you're going down the road. Right? They're like, you shouldn't be able to make a law like that. That's libertarian philosophy, is that you shouldn't be able to make a law like that. It affects nobody but you.
So very heavily focused on
individual rights.
Individual rights.
Yes.
Human rights.
Individual rights and liberty. And so it's this idea, and this is going to be a hot take. I expect to take some heat for this. But I believe that if I wanted to sit out on my back porch and do heroin all night long, I should be allowed to do that. I'm not condoning that.
Right,
I actually think it's wrong to do that.
Right.
But I don't believe the government should be able to tell me it's wrong to do that. It's not the government's place.
Yeah.
And the argument to that, and I've shared this with numerous people who look at me like I have, all my screws loose. And maybe I do. I don't know. I don't believe I do, but I'm open to that idea.
Right.
And so, but my point is that they'll say things like, well, how can you believe that? Because what if that person who's doing heroin on their back porch then goes out and drives? Well, that's a pointless argument, because people get drunk all the time. Right? And you can say the same thing about that. There's laws against driving drunk on the road, as there should be, because now you're endangering others. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so the law would still apply. That law would still apply. If you go out on your porch and you get high on heroin, and then you can't go out and drive in that state.
What about the guy who sells it?
See, I would say that for myself personally, I am very libertarian in my views. However, my views are not fully formed yet. Because the reason I say that is because libertarianism at its core believes that regulation should be minimized. Okay?
Not eliminated.
Not necessarily eliminated, but minimized.
Okay.
Very limited government. Government, but limited.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's this idea that if too much regulation is eliminated, let's say, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying if too much is eliminated, then who regulates the food companies and what's going into our food? I mean, the reality is that right now, a lot of that isn't being regulated very well anyway. Right. I mean, the FDA is supposed to be regulating that, but you know what's really crazy? I just found out about this. The FDA has this classification known as GRAS, GRAS. It stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. And a lot of food companies, commercial food companies, doing all this processed food, they use these chemicals that have not been studied by the FDA, but they're given an FDA classification of GRAS, GRAS, Generally Recognized as Safe. Why? Because that particular ingredient hasn't been demonstrated to have negative effects. They haven't tested it, but it hasn't been demonstrated to have negative effects, and therefore it's generally recognized as safe. And you'll see that classification on some food. You look at in the grocery store, you'll see the GRAS, kind of sticker on some. But it's like, that's insane. That's insane. These companies literally are making chemicals in labs for better, preservation of food or whatever the case might be, adding it to their food with no oversight and nobody testing this stuff and saying, is this stuff safe for human consumption? Nobody's testing it. It's just, what started it was the FDA was getting so many...
Can I clarify something?
Sure.
What you're saying now isn't that the FDA shouldn't exist. You're just saying that they are incompetent.
Correct.
You're making a point to that, right?
Yes. So, and that's exactly my point. And I was getting somewhere with this, is that that GRAS classification on food, in my understanding, came about because they were getting so many applications for new chemicals and new food additives that they just simply couldn't keep up. And so they create this GRAS classification where until it's proven that this ingredient has negative effects, we're just going to consider it safe.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, so it's not an FDA-approved product, but it's FDA GRAS. That is mind-blowing to me. And so my problem with too limited regulation is who then watches out for this kind of thing. What these food companies are doing. Creating chemicals in labs, adding it to the food. Granted, nobody's doing it now either. But in my view, somebody should be doing that.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you can't just have these multi-billion-dollar massive corporations go unchecked.
Right, there needs to be accountability.
Those companies are all about money, bottom line, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're period, point blank. I'm not saying there's not people that work for those companies that care about health.
Yeah, right.
And the people. But generally speaking, the company exists for one reason, and that's to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Like most companies, granted. But we need to be careful with eliminating regulation, I think. I think we should cut regulation like crazy. But I do think we need to be careful what regulation we...
You think it should be minimized?
I do.
So
again, to all this to say, I do find myself aligning with libertarian philosophy most of the time. But again, I would say that I don't know that my thoughts are fully formed at the moment because I do have some drawbacks as well. Mm-hmm. Libertarian philosophy... So what I've seen is I've seen people who become libertarians in their philosophy, and before long, they're anarchists.
I was going to say.
It is a slippery slope to anarchy. But here's the thing. Anarchy... This is super complex because there's this thing where it's like, okay, you have no regulation. Well, who watches out for the little guy? Me and you.
Yeah, we have a lot of American examples of when this philosophy went really bad.
We do, but who watches out for the little guy if there's no government to keep these corporations in check? Well, the answer is it's the little guy. The little guy watches out for the little guy. That's how it is, right? Is that a super flawed concept? I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Let's say the whole United States lives under this general...
Dude, can I open this window?
Anarchy. Yeah, let's take a break.
Dude, I'm smoldering.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if now's a great time because I think this is.
No. We'll come back to this. We'll come right back into this. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We got to get to our trivia question as well at some point.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll do that as soon as we start the next time, and then we'll come right back to this.
Okay.
All right. All right, we're back.
We're back.
Good break.
It's a great break.
And we had a good conversation about something that we'll talk about on another podcast episode. Yeah. But to get back into this, I don't remember exactly where we were. We were talking about this idea of anarchy.
Yeah.
And
give me a second. Anarchy as a result of libertarianism.
Well, yeah, because it is a slippery slope, and I'll admit that, you know, but there's this idea that all So libertarianism believes in limited taxation or no taxation even. Like basic libertarian belief is that taxation is theft. And there's this whole picture of what a society could look like with something like that implemented. Mm-hmm. And it's actually it's privatized the military, privatize the roads, privatize all your police, fire, privatize it all. And interestingly enough, there's a fire company who did this, I think in Louisiana or Alabama, where you have to have a membership. If you don't have a membership, they won't come out and put the fire out at your house. And so it's optional, right? But the idea is that there's no forced taxation, right? Because the libertarian belief is the government is forcing you to pay them money. You don't have a choice in the matter, right? Where do you get your money? You work for it, right?
Sure.
And so the government is forcing you to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
What is forced labor?
Slavery.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so, however, I personally wouldn't go quite to that extreme. I would say that I think that some taxation for defense, national defense, is non-negotiable in my view, right? I mean, that, like, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would cease to exist as a nation without national
mm-hmm.
defense. However, what libertarianism really believes is that we should not be forced to pay taxes into these social welfare programs. And I agree with that. It was my money and your money that overthrew the Ukrainian government back in 2014. Mm-hmm. It was my money and your money that overthrew the Assad regime in Syria. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah, it's real.
And that's sobering when you think about it that way.
Yeah. You could say the Federal Reserve just pays for all of those things too, but
it's not. They don't though. I mean, they do, but they don't, because it's money that's being given by the American taxpayers, or I'm sorry, by the American government, that's acquired from the American taxpayers.
Yeah, right.
By force.
Yeah. So I like that you kind of preface that with you are libertarian in philosophy, like the philosophy of libertarian you believe in.
Well, I'm not even hardcore on it though.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough. But I agree with a lot of those points, and I think that I think it's a lot of this. I don't know what it is by definition. I'm just going by the conversations that we've had and the things you've explained to me. I think it's a lot of the same perspectives that the founding fathers had. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
First thing I think about is the Tea Party in Boston. And this is why I'm a fan of what Doge is doing.
Yeah.
Government efficiency.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we look at why a lot of agencies were put into place. And some of it is, we have examples of what happens when there is little government. I think one example of that is the West before we still refer to that as the Wild West. And what you saw happen was organized crime is rampant.
Yeah.
Same thing in New York in the 20s, 30s,
Right.
40s, 50s, and 60s. Organized crime is rampant.
Well, but that was not necessarily a matter of little government. That was corrupt government.
I don't
Because
agree with that.
All the officials were paid off.
Yeah.
All the government officials were paid off by the mob. They were all paid off by the mob in Jersey and New York.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, the mob had become so powerful that a lot of the things that would be defined as bribes were not necessarily bribes as much as blackmail.
It's true.
The mob was so powerful that they would get their screws into government officials so that when the time came for them that they should be doing their job or speaking up, the lives of their families and their own lives were at stake.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why they found, I want to say, not senators, but people high up in government in the Hudson River.
Right.
I don't know names or positions. I just know that's something that had happened. And a lot of the agencies that were built up, including the FBI, was to help our government regulate these things.
Right.
Now,
but how many government agencies are there?
I don't even think anybody knows for
That's
sure.
true. You know, even the American government doesn't know.
Yeah,
The U.S. government has no idea. They say somewhere between 400 and 500.
Right. Now, I think there's two sides to a coin. I think there's corrupt government when you have too much government, and then I think there's anarchy and organized crime when you have too little government. But what you're saying is overreach should be minimalized. I totally agree with that, and I think a lot of the people in the MAGA party feel the same way.
Yeah.
But you are also conceding and saying that you're saying minimalize, not minimalize, not government being minimalized, maximized, if that makes sense.
Right.
And I think it is very complex. And my point is this. The point that I'm making is that in philosophy, it's a good philosophy. But I would be interested to know who is the last spokesperson or face of libertarianism that I'd be familiar with. The reason I asked that question is because I'm wondering...
There wouldn't be.
There wouldn't be.
No, there's nobody.
Okay. Because where do you stand on policy? Because, like you said, it's very complex, and there's this idea of minimalizing government, which I totally agree with. But then there's also the reality of, well, we kind of need lines to be drawn on where that line is, and that's where it gets complex.
Yeah. Well, again, there's this libertarian picture of if you want to live somewhere where there is some type of police force or, you know, a community or maybe a county, let's say, has their own police force. There might be 15 counties all surrounding it that don't have anything like that. They're just complete, utter anarchy, right? But then you have these little pockets where they have those things in place. They have some regulations in place. They have their own police force, their own protection, their own crime, investigators, their own FBI on a much smaller scale. Mm-hmm. But, that's what they have. You can choose to live in a community like that if you want those benefits.
Okay, I have a question.
But then those communities can charge you whatever tax they need to charge you for those benefits. But the point is that you have a choice.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, I get that. So this is my question.
And I'm not saying I agree with that idea necessarily. I'm just putting the idea out there.
Sure. So I forget what my question was. But yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought again.
It's the same type of thing as on my property. I don't want somebody to build a big, 3-story barn right on the property line, right? I don't want that. Mm-hmm. No, that's why these counties and cities and townships in Pennsylvania make these setback rules, for example, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Regulations where
Yeah.
you can't get closer to the property line than X amount. Even that would apply in something like this, where it's like, well, if you want to live in an area where they have all these rules and regulations on what you can and can't do on your own property, then you can go and choose to live in an area like that,
Right.
and pay the appropriate tax for that government. But
Do you move to California?
again, the thing is, you have a choice. In the outside world, if you don't live in that kind of neighborhood, well, then you have to get along with your neighbor.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to get along with your neighbor.
Yeah.
And you got to expect that if your neighbor comes and talks to you and says, hey, I want to build this barn, 3-story barn right on the property line, what do you think? Well, I don't really like it. Okay, can we talk about what might be a good alternative for you? You work it out, neighbor to neighbor, no government involvement, right? But then again, there's these pockets, these communities. It might be what we now see as HOAs, right? Because HOAs have these governments, essentially. That's what an HOA is.
But it's by the residents.
By the residents,
Yeah.
right?
So
but when you move in there, you sign an HOA agreement, right? And so it's the same thing. You move into this community where there is police protection, there's public fire service, there's social welfare programs, there's all these things. You sign that. You say, yep, I'm agreeing to all this, and I agree to pay the appropriate tax.
Yeah. I'm remembering the question that I had. So it's more of a statement, and I just want to know your response to it. What I think a lot of times people hear when they hear libertarianism is we want no government. But what I'm learning from you is that it's more like, no, we're just asking for decentralized government by the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which that's correct.
I'm a huge fan, for example. Yes, that is correct. And I'm a huge fan, for example, of this idea of dismantling the Department of Education. That's what they're working on right now, is eliminating the federal Department of Education and sending it back to the states. Let the states decide how to run their education system. What that creates is this competition between states, right? It's like, well, now if the Department of Education is eliminated, what's California's education system going to look like? Well, God only knows at this point, but it's going to be set up by the state of California. And one would think, based on all of this and based on how the state of California is, right, that there's going to be other states who have better education systems than California. You would think.
Yeah.
Right? It's a rational idea.
Based on all the other
what that
evidence.
does then, yeah, exactly, based on the evidence that we have available to us at this time. But what that does is it creates this sort of competition between states. And obviously, as a parent, now I want my daughter to get a good education, which, for the record, we're going to homeschool our daughter. But I'm just saying, generally,
yeah,
as a parent, you want your children to get a good education. And so when there's good competition between states for education, well, then that's perfect. But now each state has some incentive to improve their education program, right?
Yeah.
Where that's not the case right now. I mean, that's also it's also this idea of school choice, right? Like, if I live right here in Garden Valley School, the school district, but I want to send if I want to send my daughter to public school, which I don't, and I'm not planning to, but if I did, I'd have to send her to that public school because that's the district that I live in. True, or I could send her to a private school somewhere. But if I'm sending her to a public school, it's going to be that district. Well, there's this idea that you should have school choice, right? I should be allowed to send my kids to school 45 minutes from here if I wanted to, if I like that school. And what that does, it creates competition between schools.
Yeah.
It creates an incentive to have good schools. And these schools all get federal money. And it's like, well, let's incentivize them. And the crappy schools don't get federal funding. Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to come to your school. Because there's true school choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think I would agree with the idea that your child needs to go to the district that they live in, that they need to go to that district for their education. I would consider that overreach.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
So yes, I'm a fan of decentralized government.
Yeah.
Yep. Deregulated.
Yeah.
Largely deregulated.
I would find myself...
Not entirely deregulated.
Yeah. I would find myself in that category as well. I think the more I'm hearing about it, the more I think those are better ideas.
But it's a fascinating idea. And it goes against everything that we know. Because it's just not what we've experienced.
Well,
and so it's like hard to even wrap your head around some of these ideas. For example, I've literally had people tell me I'm nuts when I've told them that I don't think a government should be able to tell me I can't go onto my back porch and do heroin all night. I've had people tell me I'm completely off my rocker, and maybe I am. That's a possibility. That is a real possibility. But you understand what I'm saying? It's like these are radical ideas because it's like it's not the way we think.
In a sense, but the social climate isn't completely against it because would have it been Congress or the House that voted to overturn Roe versus Wade?
No, it was the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court
struck it down.
So the Supreme Court overturning that is an example of decentralizing government, where the federal government was now able to say, let's let the states choose on this.
Yes.
But what libertarianism is saying, let's continue that process further down.
Yeah.
So what's interesting, I'm learning more about what a Commonwealth state is, which Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth state. And I have more of an appreciation for that since I moved to California, because I'm learning there's a lot of benefits. I was talking to Nathan about permitting in California, and he was explaining to me, okay, so there's Sacramento City and Sacramento County. Now, if you're building anywhere in Sacramento County outside of the city limits, you go to the Sacramento County,
right?
The county office, building office.
I
don't know what it's called.
The building department.
Building department. And you apply for that permit. That was crazy to me, being from Pennsylvania. It was always township.
Yeah.
Like you go, if I'm not mistaken, West County Township, where I live, you go to the police station, and there's an office right there that you apply for your permit. And I know of at least one example where there was a roof being done for a homeowner, and they didn't apply for a permit. They were going to try to get away with it. Township official came out, flagged it, shut down the process, and then the crew that was on site, they take lunch. The homeowner goes to their township office, applies for a permit. 45 minutes later, they have a permit, come back, finish the roof. That would never happen in the state of California. No. Your roof might be open for days. But here's the real
question. The libertarian question is, why do you have to get a permit?
That I agree with.
To get your roof replaced.
Yes.
Like, that's government overreach.
That I totally
You're simply
agree with
replacing your roof.
I totally agree with that. Literally what you are doing is you are paying your township or county, in California's case, to have you're paying them for a civil right
to replace your roof.
To do a project that's in their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You're paying them for a civil right.
Well, and then the argument to that...
That's insane!
But here's going to be the argument to that, is that there's going to be an inspector. There's going to be an inspection on this roof.
In California.
Some places in Pennsylvania as well.
Okay.
When you get a permit, then there's going to be an inspector.
Yeah, because Nathan asked me, he's like... he's asking me about inspection process in Pennsylvania. In 10 years of doing roofing, never met one inspector on a job site.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm learning that the Commonwealth states, I think is there 7?
I don't know.
But that's an original founding fathers principle and a philosophy that carried on.
Yeah.
There's value in that.
Yeah. But going back to this whole inspector thing, like here in California, for example, there's an inspector that will come out and make sure the roof was done right and all this and all that. And it's like, well, that's why you get a permit, is because then you get an inspection and the homeowner can have peace of mind that their roof was done correctly. Okay. Well, I would just go say there shouldn't be a permit. There shouldn't be a government inspector.
I totally agree.
If you don't trust your contractor to do the work right, hire a third-party inspector.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Simple.
absolutely.
If you don't know anything about roofing and you don't fully trust the contractor to do a good job, then hire a third-party inspector. You have a choice.
Yeah.
You can pay for the third-party inspector, or you can not pay for the third-party inspector.
I could not agree more.
Rather than paying the government and essentially just feeding a bloated government, which is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy. That's what it is. That's my issue, is this bloated bureaucracy with all the regulations and all the red tape, and it is so crazy.
It's a little bizarre.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah. And you know, being that we believe we live in a democracy, it's pretty bizarre.
We vote for these people.
Do we?
Well, that's the belief.
That's a whole.
I don't know if we want to get into
that's
that.
a whole different topic. Do we, Ray? Should we do our trivia question?
Yeah, what's the trivia question?
There's 4 answers. So, the question is, in what year was the internet made available to the public? 1996, 1993, 2002, or 1989?
89.
Okay. What's the premise of that being your answer?
Is it right?
I'm not telling you yet.
I was waiting for you to say a year that was in the 80s, because I was thinking it was late 80s.
Okay.
But I am not sure.
You're very close.
93.
1993.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking 80s.
Yeah.
I was thinking late 80s. And when you said 89, I was like, yep, 89.
When was the first computer
I don't
invented?
know.
I want to say it was the 60s. But
What does
I don't know for sure.
WWW stand for?
World Wide Web.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's shocking how many people don't know that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What does .com stand for?
That's a good question.
Is it an acronym or is it an abbreviation for communications?
That's a great question.
That's a nerdy question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
89, 93. Okay, I was thinking 80s. You know what's crazy is, like, there's this I don't know, I saw this not too long ago, but I can't remember the exact details on it. It was this massive computer that had like 1 megabyte of storage.
Yeah, like one of the first ones.
Yeah. It filled an entire room.
Yeah.
Literally filled an entire room. This has a terabyte of storage.
Can you give an example of how much more storage that is than 1 megabyte?
Well, a gigabyte. It was 1 megabyte, I think. Or maybe it was a 1 gigabyte computer. I don't remember.
That's crazy, dude.
But
That's crazy.
But the point being, if it was a megabyte, which I think it was, I could be wrong. But if it was a megabyte, 1,000 megabytes is a gigabyte. And 1,000 gigabytes is a terabyte.
So it's basically like 1,000 versus 1,000,000 versus 1,000,000,000.
So if you think 1 megabyte, 1,000 is 1,000 times that. A gigabyte is 1,000 times a megabyte.
1 megabyte.
And a terabyte is another 1,000, so 1,000,000. So a terabyte is 1,000,000 megabytes.
That's crazy. And that 1 megabyte computer filled a whole room, and now we have 1,000,000 times that information
right here
in that.
Yeah.
Which, in this, because yours opens up and it becomes like a TV screen.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's insane. But I mean, you can get those little SD cards that are a terabyte. So I mean, you think about it that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is like a microchip.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. So, when we talk about data, information, and storage, one thing I can't conceptualize is where all of the data in the world, from everybody's smartphone to all the servers, all of the digital information is stored somewhere. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
How?
Well, I mean, you're talking about like cloud,
Yeah.
services like Microsoft OneDrive, for example.
Yeah.
I use Microsoft OneDrive
Or iCloud.
or Google Drive.
Google
or
Drive.
whatever it might. I mean, there's countless ones, right?
Where do they keep that?
The servers? I have no idea.
That's crazy to me.
I mean, like for me, I have a Microsoft OneDrive account. I've been using it for years. I keep everything on it. I keep pictures on it. I keep videos on it. I keep all of my personal stuff on it. Right? But I have almost a terabyte of information on my OneDrive now.
Do you pay for it?
Yeah.
How much is it?
It's like $10 or $12 a month.
Huh. It makes sense. It's your vault.
Yeah.
So, this is something I've thought about only a little bit, but we have AI now. Well, now all of the information that we have, which is already an inconceivable amount.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe somebody somewhere knows. They've might have done the calculations on it. But with AI, that's only going to continue to... It's not only going to double and triple. Like, it's going to grow exponentially.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's just... I can't imagine
AI,
how there's that much storage available.
We cannot... We have no idea yet what AI is going to do to our world. We have no idea. It is going to revolutionize our world.
Dude.
It is insane. AI is insane.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So, I saw a video the other day of... There was... Someone had asked their they got their smartphone to call a hotel, and they asked their AI software on their smartphone to book a reservation with this motel using their AI software. And the one AI asked the other AI, do you want to talk in... I forget what they called it. Like gibberish or something. Something funny. And it went into this whole computerized tone. It stopped using English. And it's just... And it was computing what the other thing was telling it. It was just data symbols.
That is insane.
It was crazy. But, like, saying how it's going to change our world, it's literally going to change almost everything about how we take in information.
Yeah.
Just
not only how we take in information.
Not only how we take in...
How information is created.
Absolutely. How information is created, I mean, anything to do with information, even beyond information.
Yeah.
But I'm just making a point on how we take in information. When so Google has implemented AI assist, right? So you Google something, if AI has something on that, pops up at the very top, right underneath your search bar.
Yep.
At first, I'm like, this is freaking annoying. I don't want to use this.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's so dumb. Like, I want to go to where I think maybe there's a reputable website and look at that and find my own information. But that was maybe 6 months ago. I don't know when they implemented that. And it was like annoying. It's like, I just scroll right past that. Now I'm finding myself more and more, the AI assist, let me just click on that. Like, for example, today I'm working on this mower. And I had questions like, well, why would I scroll into all of these websites not knowing whether that information...
AI is pulling from all of these websites and compiling a little...
Yeah.
Like, that's what's happening.
It's
like
pulling all this data and just summarizing it.
Yeah.
And giving you the summary
the
of
keynotes.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I find it more and more helpful.
Yeah. So I'm going to get real nerdy. I'm going off topic, but I'm going to get real nerdy. So we figured out at work so I don't know if you remember back during COVID, there was a $3 trillion relief package that was passed for the American people. And everybody got what? $2,000 checks or something like that. $3 trillion. Not million or billion. Trillion. Okay? Can you wrap your head around $3 trillion?
No, dude. That's 1,000 billions.
Yes.
That's 100,000.
No, it's a million.
It's millions. A million millions. No, dude, I can't. That'll make me tired.
So we figured out how much space $3 trillion would take up in a warehouse.
In $1 bills?
In $100 bills.
In $100 bills.
In $100 bills.
Am I supposed to guess?
Yeah. How many square feet?
Dude, would it be this like the size of a NBA arena?
Oh, much larger.
Really?
So, I'll tell you. It's 1,000 square feet, 90 feet tall.
Oh, it'd be bigger than the court.
Right.
But not, like, it would fit in the arena.
I don't know. How tall is an NBA arena?
Probably 200 feet. But still,
no, is it?
It's at least 100, 150 feet. I mean, you have 3 levels. Wait, 1,000 square feet.
So 20 by 50.
Yeah. 90 feet high.
90 feet tall.
Of $100 bills.
Of $100 bills. That is $100 bills stacked against with no gaps. That's like stacked tight. That's how much space it would take.
That's insane. So that is a little bit.
Oh, and that's brand new $100 bills that have not been like ruffled.
Yeah.
That are laying perfectly flat.
Paper thin.
Literally. Yeah.
That's nutty, dude. So I have this question. Do you know how much cash, paperback, physical cash we have in our economy? In circulation?
No.
Okay. Because when they do a bill out like that, right, they send checks.
Right.
And then you deposit that check.
Yeah.
And then that.
And then numbers show up on your bank,
on your screens, and that's a legal exchange. It's all digital.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just like I could Venmo you some money right now, and it's just numbers on a screen.
Yeah.
Numbers in an account.
Yeah.
It's not physical hard cash.
It's basically credit.
Right.
Like finding.
That's exactly what it is. If you know what, like a $1 bill or $100 bill has no actual value.
Yeah, even in paper form.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like even that is a credit.
Yeah, it is. And until, was it 1972? Or was it before that when the gold standard ended? until then, everything was backed by gold. So you go to the Federal Reserve, say...
I don't think it was 72. I don't know what the year was.
Was it prior to that?
No, I think it was after that.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Was it Nixon?
Maybe it was 72.
Was it Nixon?
Yeah, I think it was Nixon.
Okay.
I don't know the year.
Okay. But anyway, up until then, you could take a $1 bill to the Federal Reserve.
And they would give you $1 worth of gold.
$1 worth of gold.
Yeah.
Now, what do you get?
Right.
Do you know?
Well, do we even have the gold? Did you see that whole thing with Elon?
No.
Because our country's gold supposedly is stored at Fort Knox. Or a large majority of it. And he's like, I'm going to go into Fort Knox and see if the gold is still there. And he's being told, this is ridiculous. The gold is still there. Like, by people. I've been down there. I saw the gold. And Elon's like, fine, I want to see it. I want to make sure the gold's still there. Do we still have the gold? He's saying he's going to live stream it on X too.
Really?
That'd
be awesome.
True or not? But
that'd be awesome, dude.
No, I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay, but I'm just rolling through some thoughts here, and dude, honestly, we might not be aware of how many of the things that we talk about that are just boring to people.
This could be. It probably is, dude. It probably is.
But
totally.
I'm
boring.
having so much fun.
Yeah, same.
And that's the point, right?
Yeah,
that's
totally.
why I did this. Is like just talk about whatever we feel like talking about, and a lot of times it's just like I'm like, oh, I might be a flowing fountain of useless knowledge or useless questions. I don't know,
or just boring. Like, dude, it could just be super boring,
just mind numbing to listen
just
to.
like, dude, I'd rather watch paint dry.
Yeah.
Like.
Maybe this
I'd
would
rather
be...
watch paint dry than listen to these two freaking goons talk about nothing at all.
So, like, dude, there's real life out here.
Yeah.
Have you gone outside recently? But hey, maybe this would be a really good podcast for people to listen to when they're actually watching paint dry.
There you go, dude. There you go.
So it may serve.
This has been fun.
Yeah, but I was gonna keep tapping into this. I would call these mental exercises that are just kind of fun. But so now our debt is just backed by more debt because the Federal Reserve is credible for basically nothing other than now also the only thing that they are credible for is whoever else applies credit to them, which I don't even know how much further that chain goes aside from maybe China or I have no idea.
Well, yeah.
But there is a theory, I don't know if this is true, maybe you know, that there is more cash in circulation than... No, there is more digital currency. Digital currency isn't the right word because that's crypto. There's more digital credibility, if you will. Digital money.
Money, yeah.
That is... in our economy than there is cash.
Yeah, so basically there's this idea that if we'd all go to the banks, if everybody went to the banks, took all their money out of the bank, that you wouldn't be able, not everybody would be able
Not everybody would be able to draw.
Yeah, because, like, close your bank accounts, I want everything in cash. I want to liquidate.
That would be a fun social experiment.
Nobody could do it. Not everybody could do it. Because there's not enough of cash. There's literally not enough of cash. Here's the mind-blowing thing. So the Federal Reserve essentially runs everything, right, as it relates to money in this country. Are you aware that they're not actually a federal agency?
Yeah.
They are a privately owned bank. Dude, they are a privately... Yeah. It is a private bank.
Yeah, so basically it's an agreement between a national government of one of the most significant countries in the world,
if not the most,
that has agreed to be funded by a decentralized bank.
Yes, but here's the thing: the same people that own the Federal Reserve own the central bank in literally dozens of other countries. Is
that the Rothschilds?
The Rothschilds and Rockefellers, yeah. So here's a crazy thing. This will blow your mind. Is like, man, I'd have to see this again. But there's this thing where there was a number of countries that didn't have a central bank. Right?
At all.
Well, no, they did, but not. There's like less than 10 or maybe less than 20 countries in the world whose central banks were not owned by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers.
Okay.
Afghanistan was one of those countries. Iraq was another one of those countries. Those two countries now have central banks owned by the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. Cuba was another one. Venezuela.
I mean,
dude, that's crazy.
It's so crazy. But is it fair to say that it's not shocking?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
as it were, the writing was kind of on the wall.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder. Why did we overthrow Gaddafi? Why did we overthrow, or not overthrow, but why did we leave Afghanistan? In whose best interest were those things?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Taliban controls Afghanistan now.
Yeah. For no good reason.
Yeah, I mean, we were there for 20 years. We lost hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
We had every opportunity to help them reestablish their own government.
And we handed it right back over to the Taliban. I mean, we're like literally it's back to where it was in 2000, 2001, 2002.
But at least now, whoever owns the Federal Reserve also owns their central bank.
Well, there's this idea too that Afghanistan was nothing but a heroin or an opium operation.
Yeah. I think it's a conspiracy theory, but I also
well, I mean, that's what we're talking about right now is conspiracy theories. So.
Yeah, I would say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm more of a some things are too weird to not make sense.
Right, exactly.
Which, I mean, dude, I think, yeah, we would probably, it's probably good that we don't know some of the things that we don't know.
Oh, it's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, man, because there's always been empires that dominated their
civilizations.
Yeah, their known world. But we might be in the first couple hundred years of history where there could be dominant global influence from a very small group of people.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know that.
Yeah.
But
is it possible?
There's a lot of
absolutely.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of evidence that supports that theory. We just don't have exact names and faces.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, yeah, no, they're all in the shadows.
Yeah,
yeah, it's essentially a shadow government, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, that it could be. We're not.
It
sure.
could be.
Yeah, we're not sure. Yeah.
Or it could just happen that there's like 15 dudes that nobody knows about that do business together.
Or maybe you and I are both completely off our rockers and everything in reality is on the up and up.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe Trump and Putin are the biggest dudes out there right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be.
Maybe Trump is the devil. The Antichrist.
I can't tell if this is a comedian and you coming out or not. Well, I will say this, man. I'm a pretty big fan of this campaign. I'm not a huge fan of Trump. I think.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I think a lot of his rhetoric is distasteful. I think this is probably my only and biggest complaint with Trump. When somebody disagrees with him, I don't like his default.
Yeah, which is to attack them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bulldozer. He's not a there's nothing about him that's apologetic.
Yeah.
He's not good at having interactions with people who oppose his views.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's to me is not a good trait.
Right.
I think to me that's a trait of someone who is not an intellectual. And I don't think he is an intellectual.
He's not. He's very smart.
He has some strong instincts.
I actually think he's quite brilliant, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's playing like chess when everybody else is playing checkers.
You think he just has a crazy overbearing personality, or what?
Yeah.
Why is it that
no,
when someone
I think
attacks him, like someone like Charlie Kirk, J.D. Vance, Ben Shapiro, these are guys that when someone opposes their views, they can.
Well, it's just a different personality.
Yeah.
I think it's just a different personality.
I don't like that about Trump.
No, neither do I. I'm not a fan of it at all.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. I'm a huge fan of J.D. Vance.
I like J.D. Vance as well. I think he's a great communicator.
Yeah.
I think a guy like Trump pushes so many chairs across the room that the far left, like, he's not bringing anybody back.
No, yeah. Well, that's not true. I don't think that's entirely true.
You think Tulsi Gabbard was far left?
Oh. No, she wasn't like radical left.
You think
But she was very left.
you think Fetterman's far left?
Yeah, he was.
He was.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, look at RFK Jr., for example. For years. I mean, the dude was an environmental lawyer, for goodness sakes, for his entire career. Like, that's like the darling of the Democrat Party, right?
Yeah,
environmental
I guess.
lawyer.
Yeah. Green,
all this.
eco-friendly.
And now what is he? A Republican.
Yeah.
Freaking Trump just switched him right over.
You might be right. Maybe he only is attacking the people that are like
Idiots.
that are so far gone they don't even have the capacity to ever change their perspectives.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the way he approaches those interactions and you know, when some, like you said, when somebody disagrees with him or attacks him or something like that. However, I do think he is playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. I think that he knows what their moves are going to be, what his move's going to be 4 moves ahead.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that I don't struggle to agree with that. I think that could very well be true.
Yeah.
His public persona for me is just like, man, this guy's.
Well, I think the word that you used is accurate. Distasteful. You said it's distasteful.
Yeah, I mean, I try to put myself in the shoes of someone who is a far left ideologue who doesn't have capacity to work things out using logic, who believes themselves to be an intellectual when they're only really well informed in one line of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear this guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to lean harder into my dispositions already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but to the point that you're making, maybe he already knows that and he just doesn't care.
I think that's what it is, especially with his second term.
Yeah.
I think like he's looking at it and he's like, I know I've got 4 years and I'm going to leave a legacy on this country.
Don't get in my way.
Don't get in my way.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're probably right.
Like, it is no holds barred, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like, State of the Union,
Yeah.
their side of the aisle,
Oh, dude, it's despicable.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, Fetterman said, by the way, for those listening, Fetterman, what's his
I forgot
position?
that we're on the air.
Yeah. What's the role that he has? He's a
senator.
He's a senator. Senator Fetterman, state of Pennsylvania. He's an elected Democratic senator. And, oh, dude, he used the perfect word. And I forget what the word was, but I do remember the definition. The far left has become so much so that basically the word he used is a childish reaction to something that they don't like.
Petty?
I mean, that's, yeah, but
Yeah.
it was he's a smart guy. I don't know. It was a word I'd never heard before. But when I saw the State of the Union, I had to agree with the guy. It's
totally.
dude, these people are sitting in which building is that? Is that the?
Well, it's the Capitol. Yeah.
Yeah, basically where they have all the federal meetings for the highest people in federal government.
Yeah, the Congress is Senate sessions.
Dude, sitting there with protesting signs.
Yeah.
False.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
I don't know.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. That's why. What was that text I sent you when I was watching the State of the Union?
Yeah, you said it's like something out of the 1800s.
Yeah.
Because of Al Green, the guy who stood up and he's like waving his cane and doing all that. And it's like, well, that's something. What did you say? That Jefferson
it'd be like something between Jefferson and Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, you're screaming this from the front and I'm screaming this from the crowd. And then I was like, man, you guys might as well throw handkerchiefs and it's pistols at dawn.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
But that would never happen because we just wave these signs. I'm like, this is crazy, dude.
I found the most despicable about
World Series or bust.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's like you're a spectator at this point. You have nothing to contribute. You're so defeated that you show up to the State of the Union
holding a sign.
Yeah. Like, don't even come.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what I found the most disturbing about that whole thing with the State of the Union, and to be clear, it wasn't an official State of the Union. Okay. It was a joint address to Congress.
Okay.
There's a difference. There's an official State of the Union, but presidents is tradition for presidents to do a joint address to Congress soon after they take office. That's what this was. This was not an official State of the Union. It's the same format. Nothing's really different, but it's not an official State of the Union. Mm-hmm. So, for whatever that's worth. But what I found the most disturbing about the whole thing is the Democrats wouldn't stand to honor a 13-year-old kid who 5 years ago, was told he's got 6 months to live. He's got cancer. Trump, this kid's dream was always to be in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And Trump, just, I can't think the word, but... Honorary made him a Secret Service agent, right?
Yeah. They gave him like an honorary police position.
Sure, exactly. Because it's his dream is to be a law enforcement agent, officer. And the Democrats sit. They can't stand to honor him. And Laken Riley's family is there. Laken Riley is the girl who was killed by an illegal in New Mexico, by an illegal immigrant. Presumably raped and killed. Her family was there. And the Democrats wouldn't stand to honor her. Or her family. There was a widow who is a widow of a fallen police officer, killed in the line of duty. And the Democrats wouldn't stand to honor her. And it's like, are you kidding me right now? Right? I mean, that is despicable. You know what they stood for? Stood and clapped for? When Trump said, we want to keep sending money to Ukraine and funding endless wars. They stood and clapped for that.
Really?
Yeah. Not all, but some.
That's crazy.
And it's like, it makes me sick. Right? And look, again, I'm a registered Republican. I typically vote Republican. I don't agree with all the Republican positions. I don't. That is the honest truth. But I say this just as a human being. Can you not stand and honor a 13-year-old cancer survivor who gets an honorary Secret Service appointment, basically?
Yeah. Can I play devil's advocate?
Yes.
Why do you think those people were there?
Who's that?
The 13-year-old kid and this girl who was murdered, her family. And
it's posturing. It was political posturing.
Right.
But that happens at every one of these. That is not unusual.
That's true.
That is not unusual.
Yes.
Both sides do it. Everybody. I mean, the Democrats also had guests that they invited to come to this.
Okay.
So like that I agree with you. Yes, it's political posturing.
Okay, but that's just kind of a part of the point. So, political posturing, that's a phrase that's new to me, but it's perfect. So that party can walk away. We did that. But on the Democratic side, it's completely classless.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
In their defense, everything that Trump has said about them in his first 4 years, in the last 8 years, is also completely classless.
Yeah.
So it's classless on both sides.
But it's not wrong.
That's
There's a difference.
That's the difference. That is the difference.
Like, he's not been wrong.
Yeah.
It's the things that he has said, I would say, are not wrong. It's the way he has said it.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, oh, he hurt your feelings? Like, who cares? You know, like, like that's just where I'm at. It's like, oh, he hurt your little feelings.
And that has always happened in politics, but the other side of the aisle still always played the role that you're supposed to play, which is we keep it professional, we tip our cap, and then we go and hate each other behind closed doors.
Yeah. Well, and Trump screwed up in that speech too when they stood up for the Ukraine thing and all that. He looked over at, he looked at the Democrats and he's like, you want to keep funding this for another 5 years or whatever he said, I don't remember. And Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts, she's standing there clapping, and he says, do you know the story about Elizabeth Warren and Trump's history with her?
I just know he calls her Pocahontas.
You don't know why?
Yeah, she claims to be...
Oh, yeah, dude, she claimed to be like Indian.
Yeah, Native American.
As a part of her campaign, she claimed to be Native American. And then she had this blood testing done or whatever, and she's like 0.025% Native American.
Yeah.
Like less than 1% Native American. And he was just like... And so now he calls her Pocahontas to make fun of her.
Yeah.
And so it's like, in a joint address to Congress, we're all here, we're all professional.
And in her defense, she's kind of embraced it.
Yeah,
like
right, exactly. No, you're right.
You saw her kind of laugh a little bit when he said it.
But still, it's like, do we really have to resort to name calling?
Oh yeah,
like in this joint address.
Dude,
like,
come on.
Are you serious? Like, come on, dude. Like, but there's also a little bit of humor in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I also find it a little bit humorous.
I think they're both kind of a good sport about it.
Yeah, yeah. And they know each other.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot. Chuck Schumer and Trump have known each other for decades. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a senator from New York. He's been a senator from New York for decades. He's been there for a long time.
Do you think they're still buddies?
They used to be. Trump was one of the first people to donate to Schumer's campaign when he first ran for the Senate. Years ago.
That's crazy. You think when the cameras are off, they're still buddies?
I don't know, dude. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell.
Oh, dude. It's crazy, man, how far politics can go. I think... here's a trivia question for you. When was the last duel in the United States?
I don't know.
The last notable duel, I should say.
I don't know.
I think it was in 1862.
I was going to say late 1800s.
Yeah.
And by that I meant between 1850 and 1900. But
yeah. Isn't that crazy that that was the pinnacle of conflict? That was how they would resolve it.
Yeah, right. Right.
That's crazy.
Let's bring that back.
You think so?
No. It's still legal.
Is it?
Yeah.
In some states?
No, federally, I think it is.
We should fact check that.
We should fact check that.
I do wonder if I don't think duels are a good idea. I think it's a really bad idea that two notable members of society should take pistols and shoot at each other to resolve an argument. But
I'm not a fan of it either, just for the record.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know that anybody was going to read into it that you are, but for sure there had to be some kind of it must have played a role in exposing who really hates you and who is just publicly hating you to appease the people that back them.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. So, but here's the crazy thing about duels, dude, is I've been told, I don't know if there's truth to this or not, but I've been told that if you go
Public
to court
service alert. This is not true. You should not try this.
because of some type of violation of the law, let's say, you go to court and you ask for a duel, right? Any officer of the court, if they all turn you down, you're free to go. So if the judge says no, the court clerk says no, and the bailiff says no.
For any crime?
That is my understanding. That's what somebody told me.
You have to propose a direct duel to each member.
No. Just say, basically, ask if anybody wants to do it. And if they all say no, you're
For any crime.
out the door. I don't know for any crime. I
Dude,
don't know.
If that's true.
But for like traffic violations and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. but here's the thing. You could safely ask that and they will not take you up on it.
Oh, no. Nobody's
won't.
going to take you up on a duel.
No, they won't.
Not over freaking running a red light.
No, yeah, exactly. And so you could theoretically do that for your little traffic violation misunderstanding.
We should fact check that.
You want to know that now, don't you?
Well, dude, here's the thing. If that's true,
But what if they take you up on it?
Pistols at dawn.
You can't back out.
Nerf guns at noon. No, but I'm just copying what Elon Musk said on Joe Rogan's podcast, dude. It's hilarious. Joe Rogan, he confronted Elon Musk about the MMA match with Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when that was kind of headlines?
Yeah.
The media's narrative was that Elon backed out, and Elon kind of clarified everything that happened. And it wasn't that Elon backed out, it was just that he wanted to have the fight in the Colosseum in Rome, and Zuckerberg didn't want to have it on those terms. And in the end, like, Joe, at the very end of the conversation, you'd fight him? He's like, I might have sent you the clip. I don't know. I just thought it's hilarious. In the end, he's like, yeah, pistols at dawn. Joe Rogan's like, whoa, that's a little intense. Well, Nerf guns at noon. He said, I'll fight him in a house with a mouse on a louse. We can go full Dr. Seuss with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But if that's true, dude, I would think every attorney in America is trying to use this. But like you said, if they agree, you can't back out.
Well, right. And so that's just it. Is like, well, and if everybody started using it, before long you're gonna have a bailiff who agrees to it. Maybe not a judge, maybe not a court clerk, but you'll have a bailiff who agrees to it eventually.
Dude, that is so crazy to me to think about.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I want to know if that's true.
Yeah. Well, we'll report back. I think it's time to wind this down.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Right on.
This was fun, man.
It was fun.
All right.